Well, the Ukrainian Healthcare Center has been documenting the destruction of hospitals and attacks on medical workers since the conflict began. Pavlo Kovtoniuk is a co-founder of the Ukrainian Health Center and a former Deputy Minister of Health, and he joins us from Lviv. Pavlo, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Hello, thank you for having me.
What can you tell us about the information that you're gathering, the latest on these attacks on healthcare centers and healthcare workers?
Yeah, overall we have recorded 66 episodes of direct attacks on medical facilities, and also on top of that 25 cases on attacks on medical personnel and medical vehicles like ambulances. We also are recording them in order for use in the International Court of Justice in Hague, because potentially many of those cases are war crimes. It's not just kind of collateral damages, but many of these cases are the direct attacks on hospitals.
So it's your understanding or your belief that these incidents are deliberate attacks targeting healthcare facilities with the knowledge that that's what they're doing?
Yes, in many cases there are no military objects even kilometers nearby. There are cases when Russians admitted that the hospital was a target. For example, in the maternity hospital in Mariupol, when it was hit by a bomb from the plane. Then the foreign minister of Russia said that they thought Ukrainian military were there, but actually there were no Ukrainian military. There were women and children there. So there are even cases when Russian side admits what they're doing.
There is, of course, a war on in your country. Can you tell us a bit about the challenges you face in collecting data? And as you say, if it's to go to the International Criminal Court, it has to be not only accurate, but withstand evidentiary possibilities.
Yes, first of all, this 66 cases we have there's at least 66 cases, because we don't know about other cases which are probably happening where Russians are controlling the territory, say in Mariupol or in some places in Kharkiv or Sumy oblasts. Second is we are looking for witnesses and people who are victims of those cases. We have a network of volunteer doctors working in all the regions affected by war, and they do their best to gather first-hand evidence from the ground. So we are very, very motivated to gather cases of war crimes where it was actually the case. You are right. We need very thorough evidence on that. But we also have a lot of motivated people here to gather this evidence.
There has been talk, as I'm sure you know, especially at NATO, of the possibility of the use of chemical weapons. We've heard even the threat of the use of nuclear weapons. In your assessment of the state of the hospital system in the country, how prepared could they be to deal with the possibility of those attacks?
Yes, you're right. First of all, let's not forget that two of nuclear plants in Ukraine, they are seized by Russians. One in Chernobyl, world famous, infamous, I would say, one, and the other one in Zaporizhia Oblast. And we don't know what they're going to do there. Speaking of whether our hospitals are ready, hard to say. There is always some preparedness, but as you know, we are talking that hospitals are no safe places in Ukraine too. They're also targets, and you don't know what will happen if they start attack in, say, in Chernobyl. Kyiv is also affected by the war, the nearest large city, and the roads from Chernobyl to Kyiv are blocked. So the nearby towns and villages may well be not able to be evacuated to Kyiv because they're blocking evacuation routes now from there, This is what really worries me most.
As you continue to gather evidence, and this sounds like a very challenging intensive task. How hopeful are you that Russia and Vladimir Putin could be held accountable for the attacks on hospitals and healthcare workers?
I'm not making odds. I am working towards this goal, and I believe that sooner or later, both Vladimir Putin and his nearest people and all others, people who are responsible for that, will be prosecuted and will bear the responsibility. That must happen. And again, as I said, we are very motivated to make this day, coming sooner rather than later.
We've, of course, seen, the whole world has seen the requests, the pleas from your president for weapons, for aircraft, for all manner of material of war. Do you have a sense of what the hospitals and healthcare workers in Ukraine need now?
Yes, there are lists of what they need, and also in almost all countries there are organizations, NGOs, and foundations which help Ukraine. We are trying to make the network of them. I mean Ukrainians, trying to make network of them and base them in US, in Canada, in UK, in Europe, so that it will be easier for people and organizations also to donate. Luckily, the flow of donations and of medications and supplies is really constant, and we don't feel the scarcity of it. And we thank our international partners and our friends abroad for that. But we also plea for everyone not to stay aside. It's very, very important. Every person can do a lot. For example, at least not to stay silent, to speak up, to name a spade, to name the war, to name Russia the aggressor, to donate whatever amount of money he or she can, and that will lead us to victory.
Pavlo, we're trying to ask everyone we talk to, no matter why we want to talk to them within Ukraine, to get a sense of what it's like. So if I can ask you one last question, what is your assessment of the state of your country and where this might end up?
Our country is being constantly destroyed, and as the topic we are talking about suggests us that Russia uses humanitarian issues as part of warfare, and that makes things really bad. But on the other hand, 90% of Ukrainians, according to the recent poll, including myself, we believe that we are going to win, because it can't be that this evil will win. We will win. And we are determined to stay. And we hope that the free world will support us in rebuilding, first of all in the victory, then in rebuilding, and then in constructing the world which would prevent this to happen again.
Pavlo, I want to wish you continued luck in the work that you're doing, and take care of yourself. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pavlo Kovtoniuk is a co-founder of the Ukrainian Health Center and a former deputy minister of health, and he joined us from Lviv.